Hi guys, so welcome to this discussion. As promised, we'll start with the talk on the cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio. We got a couple of questions coming up for you on those two issues, and as we go forward, we will discuss other things as well. So let's have a look at the first one. What's the current cash reserve ratio as of today, that is 10th June 2020? We know the answer is 3%. It is 3%. So what is the definition? And then we'll also look at statutory liquidity ratio. So we looked at this definition, this question yesterday, but let's go a little further. Let's write cash reserve ratio. I will repeat some of these ideas that we have discussed, but more importantly, this an understanding of CRR, money supply, interest rates is pretty important for us to understand everyday stuff. I mean, how the government's working, what kind of stimulations it's bringing into the economy, what kind of stimulus is bringing into the economy, stuff like that. Okay, so let's get on with the CRR, cash reserve ratio. And before that, let me thank you for the feedback that some of you would want to learn those, would want to know more of the stories. You also want to know about the North Korean crisis. One of you, Tanaya, I think, she had, wanted this, and Shahnaz, I think, she sent in positive words about the session on the partition of India. See, this kind of feedback helps us know what you're looking for, because often, because of this coronavirus thing, not much is happening in the world in terms of major events and all. So sometimes background stories help us understand things better. Okay, so I'm going to bring to you sometime next week stories of the Korean crisis. I'll bring you one story in the Korean crisis, and one there has been feedback on the world wars. Can I bring that to you in simple, easy to understand manner? I sure can. I love discussing history. Of course, this is something that helps us understand today, and if we know what it's been like in the past and what it is today, we can, to a large extent, not know the future, but look at how things can work, basically. Okay. So we'll discuss the world wars, we'll discuss the Korean crisis, we'll bring in India-Pakistan issue, maybe the border dispute between India and China as well. So these are all current affairs. I'll relate everything to current affairs. Okay, it's not like something's happened in the past. Why should we discuss history? No. All history. See, history is a straight line drawn into a circle. It has no beginning, no end. That's what I read in the book The Serpent and the Rope by Raja Rao, considered the greatest writer in English from India. Of course, not many have heard of him. Okay. So anyway, here's the definition of CRR. Please write. Cash reserve ratio. Okay. All commercial banks must keep a certain percentage, certain certain percentage of their total time and demand liabilities, time and demand demand liabilities, liabilities, liabilities. Okay, ability के पहले li लगा दो, आप liability बन जाएगा. Okay, so time and demand liabilities with the RBI. The lack of ability is a liability. Yeah. So let me repeat the definition. All commercial banks must keep a certain percentage of their total time and demand liabilities with the RBI. Okay. Below that, liabilities, comma, in this context, liabilities, comma, in this context, comma, refer to deposits, deposits like savings, current and FDs. Savings account, current account and FDs. Savings account, current account and FDs. Okay, full stop. The current CRR, you could write the date also. As of June 10th, 2020 is 3%, is 3%. So what would happen if CRR is increased or decreased? In the recent past, as early as the beginning of this year, CRR was about 4%. Now it is 3%. So 1% difference means a lot of money. So what does it mean? See, let's say I am the RBI. You are a commercial bank. Okay? As a commercial bank, the definition of CRR says whatever you collect from the public, a certain percentage of what? Demand accounts, savings demand. Okay, let me make it easier for those who do not come from a banking background or economics background. There are two kinds of accounts a bank has. Okay, the word account, deposit, liability all mean one and the same. Account equals liability equals deposit. When you go to a bank, you put money into a bank. Let's say you run a savings account with a bank. You put money into a savings account. For you, it's an asset. It's a deposit. You deposited your paisa. Yes. For the bank, it's a liability. Udhar. The bank has to return that money to you. So what is an asset to you is a liability for the bank. आपका पैसा आपको वापस करना है, तो इसलिए बैंक के लिए लायबिलिटी हो जाती है, क्योंकि बैंक आपका पैसा इस्तेमाल करेगी, बैंक आपको ब्याज देगी. Okay, you understand that? So there is a savings, there is a rate of interest on fixed deposits on savings account. No rate of interest is paid on current account because if the money keeps churning. Okay, it's for business purposes, usually for business purposes. So, two kinds of accounts, demand account and time account. A demand account is one into which when you put money, you can withdraw on demand. You can demand your money anytime. You can withdraw on demand. The banker has to pay you when you demand your money to be paid. You have a savings account, go to bank and say, "Bhai, savings account mein itne paise hain, 50,000 rupees hain. I need 5,000." He has to pay you. So on demand, the bank has to pay you. So there are two types of demand accounts. One is current account, the other is savings account. Okay, guys? Current account and savings account. The other kind of account we said, apart from demand, is time account. Time. When you put money into a time account, you know for sure that there is a fixed period of time for this money to be, after which this money could be withdrawn. You go to a bank and tell the manager, "I want to put money in a time account," which he tells you is a fixed deposit or a recurring deposit. Fixed deposit is a more popular thing. You go to the bank and tell the manager, "Manager, I have 50,000 with me. I want to put in the bank, FD karna chahta." The manager will give you a challan and everything. Okay, fill in all the required details. Then he will give you a copy of the challan, a copy. आपको challan की copy दे देंगे और कहेंगे कि भाई आपका पैसा हमारे पास है. This is for 1 year. You have chosen a 1 year term. The rate of interest is 6%. So in 1 year, your money will earn 6%. The value of your money will increase by 6%. But it has a time. It has a fixed period of time. It has a duration, what is called a term. It has a term. You can withdraw your money only after the expiry of the term. That's why it's called a time account. Look, this is on paper that you cannot withdraw your money from an FD. You can withdraw. you can withdraw money from NFT, but on paper you cannot. So एक बैंक के पास दो तरह के अकाउंट होते हैं, one is a time account, the other is a demand account. Time account RDs, FDs, demand account savings bank account and current account. So the definition says whatever you have collected from the public in these accounts, as of today 3% of that money has to be kept with me. I will tell you, I am the RBI. I am the RBI. I want you, hey, you know, let's say Abhilash Bank, yeah, Shahanaz Bank, all the banks, you know, you have to keep 3% of whatever you have collected from the public with me. So 3% from your banks will come in, from your deposits will come into me, my lockers. I put that money away. What is happening? Your money is with me. Can you use that money? You can't use that money. Will I pay interest on that? No, I won't pay interest on that. No interest is paid on CRR. Okay. Now, why does the RBI do this? The RBI tries to control money supply. He says that, you know, we need to keep some money from these banks with us, otherwise tomorrow they will lend everything, and tomorrow, you know, in a bad situation they won't have much to repay. Yeah, and this way we can control the supply of money in the market. So now the RBI says, you know, today is 3%, let's raise it to 3.25%. You have to raise, I am raising this to 3.25%, which means you have to keep more money with me, 0.25% money. Now, given the amount of supply of money in the market, in the economy, market-wise economy, today 0.25% roughly equals about 30,000 crore, 25,000 crore, more than 25,000 crore. So if I increase it by 0.25%, it means 25,000 crore will come from all of you, from your lockers into my lockers. So now CRR has increased. What will happen? Will money supply increase or decrease? Will you have more money or less money? You will have less money. You will have less money. So the amount of money available with you will be less. So when, you know, money supply is less, what happens to the interest rates? I am writing here. What happens to the interest rates? Interest rates increase. ब्याज की दरें क्या होती है? ब्याज की दरें बढ़ती हैं. Always remember, as money supply decreases, interest rates increase, because money is always in demand. Industrialists, common people, I mean ordinary people, everyone wants money. Who doesn't want money? People want to borrow, they want to invest, they want to spend. But since banks have a limited amount of money, and in this case when the CRR has increased, more money from banks, from you, has come to me, means you will have less money to lend. So what will you do? Automatically, when the demand is more, you increase the interest rates. You increase the interest rates. You try to earn more. Now, this is one case where interest rates are increased, where interest rates go up when, you know, CRR goes up. If I say no, don't put 3%, I will reduce it to 2.75%. Let me reduce CRR. Let me reduce CRR. When I reduce CRR, okay, when I reduce CRR, what would happen? I would reduce CRR, you know, I will release money into your hands. Paisa, I will release. Now let's say I am releasing 25,000 crore into your hands. What will you do with the money? You will try to lend. To lend, you need customers. What is the best way to attract customers? You know, let's say Abhilash Bank has money, it wants to attract customers. Let's say Shahanaz Bank wants to lend. Yeah, everyone wants to lend. What's the best way to attract customer? The best way to attract customers is to lower the burden on the customer. What's the burden on the customer? Interest rate. Okay, interest rate. ब्याज की दरें कम होती है. ब्याज की दरें कम करेंगे. When you lower interest rates, you try to attract customer. So as CRR decreases, money supply increases. When money supply increases, interest rates decrease. You could write like this. You could write one line. Okay, just write. Simple, without pain. Rise in CRR. Rise in CRR. Rise, RISE. Rise in CRR. Dash. Decrease in money supply. Decrease in money supply. मनी सप्लाई इज लिक्विडिटी. मार्केट में क्या बोलते हैं? लिक्विडिटी बोलते हैं. क्रेडिट सप्लाई, लिक्विडिटी, ये सब टर्म्स होते हैं बेसिकली. ओके, नेक्स्ट डैश, कंटिन्यू डैश. राइज इन इंटरेस्ट रेट्स, राइज इन इंटरेस्ट रेट्स, RISE, rise in interest rates. Okay guys, let me repeat. Rise in CRR dash decrease in money supply dash increase in interest rates. उसके नीचे next point, decrease in CRR, decrease in CRR, decrease in CRR dash increase in money supply, increase in money supply dash decrease in interest rates, decrease in interest rates. decrease की जगह fall भी लग जा सकते हैं, FALL, fall in interest rates. So recently the RBI reduced the CRR. In 3-4 installments they brought it down from 4% to 3%. So इससे क्या होगा? What will happen? Oh, a lot of things happen. When money CRR is going down, look at that equation, last line that we wrote. When CRR decreases, money supply increases. When the money supply increases, what will happen to the interest rates? They decrease. When interest rates decrease, what would you do? What would you do? Would you save or spend? You would spend. You would borrow money, buy a bike, a mobile phone, a washing machine, a home. You understand that? Because interest rates have decreased. The burden on you has decreased. So what you do? You borrow, you spend. And when you spend, what are you doing? You are creating demand. You are creating demand. When you create demand, producers will be incentivized to produce to meet the demand. So to produce, what would you do? What would an industrialist, what would a business person do? He would borrow money to invest. Okay, not only borrow money, he would employ people to produce stuff. ये पेन मैन्युफैक्चर करनी है, माउस मैन्युफैक्चर करना, you need people, so you employ people. When you employ people, you put money into their hands by way of salary, wages and everything. They have money. When they have money, they have purchasing power. When they have purchasing power, what happens to the overall demand for goods and services? Increases. So this is a virtuous cycle. Wonderful cycle it is. So decrease in interest rates would increase credit offtake, that is more borrowing will happen. More borrowing would mean people will spend more. When people spend more, they create demand for goods and services. When they create demand goods and services, it leads to economic activity. Okay, economic activity in terms of higher production, higher employment generation, higher revenues everywhere. So one thing leads to another thing. That's how it works. आप देखिए, the government has given a lot of incentives for the real estate sector. Okay, now and CRR has decreased, which means interest rates have decreased, repo rate has decreased, everything has decreased. So today banks have a lot of cash, so they can decrease interest rates. This is a major issue, that banks are not passing on the benefit or lower interest rates to consumers. This is what is bothering the government of India a lot, that credit rate transmission, that is fall in interest rate transmission, is not happening. The transmission is not happening. So if it does happen, what will happen? So there will be economic activity, a lot of economic activity. When you buy a house, what would happen? What goes into a house? Cement, concrete, steel, iron, wood, PVC, whatever, cabling, you need electrical stuff, got it? You need fans, you need ACs, you need tube lights, you need LED lamps. You create demand for all this. Plastics go into switchboards. Yes. Now think about all the stuff. All this is capital intensive. सबके लिए पैसा लगता है. पूंजी, a lot of capital is required to produce all that stuff. So to meet this, to build this house, because there is a demand, someone invests, buys cement. To produce cement, that guy who supplies cement, uses limestone and all that stuff. You got it? And transportation, employment, loading and unloading employment, people who work on the construction site, their employment, Think about this. Yeah, engineers and skilled people get jobs. So this is where economic activity goes up. This is the goal behind decreasing CRR. They are flushing the market with a lot of money in the in the system. There are problems with higher money supply. Inflation is an reason, but inflation today is not a major issue because the government wants to stimulate the economy. See, inflation is simple, a rise in the general price level. Prices increase is fine, yeah. But the thing is, when I don't have a job and I don't have, prices have increased, I will have misery, double misery. But if I have employment, at least I will have something to buy, something to buy that, vegetable with. Unless I have money, how can I buy a vegetable? So the government is now looking at pushing growth. Even the RBI has jumped in and saying that our primary target is growth. Inflation is well under control. Inflation is under 4%, it's not high at all. And every year it's been, the last 2-3 years it's been under control. Things haven't been, inflation hasn't been a major worry for the government of India. But CRR is a very tricky thing. Okay, not just now banks have a lot of cash, of course, but last 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए आया है CRR कट करते करते, बट ये है कहाँ पे? Where is that 1 lakh crore rupees? 1 lakh crore rupees. Where is that 1 lakh crore rupees? That's a major thing. And of course, now that coronavirus lockdown, shutdown, and then things, a lot of things have gone bad. See, you must have read that unemployment has shot up to 70%. See, these are all conjectures, guesstimates. Obviously, someone who has left a job, someone who's left job and gone back home isn't available for work. Unemployment will increase, but this is all short term. These guys will see. If I'm in my, I have come from, let's say, X place. I have worked in Y place. From there, I have come down here. Now I wanted to escape the disease and everything, but I don't have any savings. What will I do? What will I do? Will I sit here? No, I will go back. If not that place, why? I'll go to Z. But I will work. I will work. So labor supply will remain active over the next few months, though in the short term there will be an issue. There will be an issue. There are already issues. There are not many loaders, unloaders, not many people in the construction sites. In Telangana, there is a lot of real estate activity, a lot of construction activity happening. So builders, major builders are paying airfares to get laborers from Odisha, from Bihar and all that. I'm not kidding. You could just look at this up on the web, that builders in Telangana are paying airfares. Up to 5,000 रुपये वो ब्रोकर्स को कहते हैं, जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लेबर्स लेके आते हैं ना, तो उनको कहते हैं कि भाई अब तो 5,000 रुपये का टिकट हो तो बंदे को लेके आ जाओ आप. You understand that we are willing to bear that 5,000 rupees. So because projects are incomplete and deadlines are there to met. Consumers have been promised that delivery will happen by X date, but not many workers are there. So in the short term, things will be bad. Things will get better. Hopefully they get better, my friends, because it's good for everyone involved. So CRR decrease, has happened, and hopefully things will get better. So this is one, and the second one is, see, this is kept with the RBI. What about this one? Statutory liquidity ratio. Please write this, SLR. Statutory liquidity ratio. Underline that. All commercial banks must keep a certain percentage of their total time and demand liabilities. Must keep their all commercial banks must keep a certain percentage of their total time and demand liabilities invested in highly liquid assets like highly liquid assets like, highly liquid assets like, highly liquid assets like gold, gold, garment securities, golden and garment securities, दो काफ़ी है, gold and garment securities. ये बहुत liquid होती है. You can sell gold anytime to recover cash and turn that into cash. So liquid means that ability to convert into cash. That is liquidity, nothing else. Okay. You know why people used to wear gold in the past? अंगूठियाँ वगैरह क्यों पहनते थे पहले? You know, there is a story behind this. I am not sure how true it is, but it is true in one way, because at least you see the utility of this story. You know, the lesson behind the story. It says that when travelers, you know, जब कहीं एक गांव से दूसरे गांव जाते थे पहले बैलगाड़ी में या छलके वगैरह, yeah. So if misfortune would occur, people would lose their baggage or anything, something would happen to them, they could at least, you know, sell this ring, recover some money and come back home. That was the idea, it seems. Yeah, that was the idea, but I don't know how to, but it make common sense. Yeah, it does make common sense. Yeah, it is pure common sense. Next. So all banks must keep a certain percentage of their total time and demand liabilities invested in highly liquid assets like, must invest in highly liquid assets like gold and garment securities. Full stop. This is done. This is done. This is done. D-O-N-E, done to avoid a run on the bank, run, R-U-N, run on the bank, B-A-N-K, run on the bank, underline run on the bank, comma, meaning, panic withdrawals, panic, P-A-N-I-C, panic withdrawals by a large number of customers, So, full stop. The current SLR, you could write this line, the current SLR is 18%, that is as of, you want to write the date, is 18%. So 18% a bank has to keep in gold, garment, securities, everything. It can keep it with itself. It is not with the RBI, with itself. So 18% plus 3% with CRR. How much? 21%. So when you put all that money the bank has, 21% of that is locked. Another 40% is locked. Another 35-40% is locked in what is called administrative expenses, margins, and all that stuff. So clearly about 65% of money is not available for lending. So the bank has about 35, maximum 40% for lending. That's it. That's it. So this is primarily kept, this 18% in the past. This is the old style actually. You know, when banks, there were no ATMs and everything, there was a rumor, let's say in the market, that X bank is going to collapse. Okay, it's going to go bankrupt. People would rush to the bank, you know, to make withdraw their money. That's why it's called run on the bank. People would run over the bank or run on the bank. Now that thing is not there, because you could go to any ATM and withdraw it, isn't it? Yeah, you could go to, you know, you could withdraw it just like that, or online and everything. But still, it's kept so that banks can repay, you know, large depositors and all that stuff. So CRR, SLR, this is how it is. Remember, this is all about money supply. CRR is a major tool used by the RBI for money supply, to control money supply. Okay, what you call money supply, credit supply, liquidity in the market. Okay, from here let's go to, after a 35-minute discussion, let's go to the next one. The United Nations Secretary General's envoy. How do you say this? You can say envoy, but it's French, so they say envoy. Yeah, the UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth has listed Kudol among the top 10 global initiatives for an inclusive fight over the COVID-19 pandemic. Kudol is a crowd-funded initiative of YAAL, that's how they write it, YAAL, which is a Manipur-based NGO. Manipur-based NGO. See, they came up with the first all transgender football team. This organization, YAAL, came up with India's first all transgender football team. Okay, so the third sex, transgender is sometimes called the third sex. So they came up with this kind of football team. This football team. Now they also they came up with this. Why they have been inclusive? What is the inclusive fight here? Because normally people shun those with HIV, with who belong to the the transgender community, people who belong to the LGBT, who have declared themselves lesbians or gays or transgenders or bisexuals. They generally are not taken care of in these kinds of situations. This organization does that. It ensures the supply of food, health, hygiene of those living with HIV, those who are adolescents, teenagers, who are migrant workers. They normally take care of everyone. Pretty good work they do. And I was quite impressed when I read about them. Pretty good. That's nice. So, the Chief Minister of Manipur is Biren Singh, B-I-R-E-N, Biren Singh. Biren Singh. Okay. Name the scheme recently launched by the central government to provide psychological support and counseling to students, teachers, and families for mental health and emotional well-being. It's called Mano Darpan. Mano Darpan. Darpan is mirror. Mano is something to do with brain. I mean, it's mind and not brain, mind. Okay, a mirror of the mind, mirror on the mind actually. So it's a peep into the mind, and what it does, you could write, is provide psychological support and counseling, psychological support to especially during COVID and after, during COVID, coronavirus disease pandemic, and after. A lot of people are going through a lot of trauma, my friends, a lot of psychological pressure, a lot of mental stress because of this coronavirus pandemic. People are worried about what might happen to their loved ones. People are worried about loss of income. People are worried about the future, loss of livelihood. I mean, there's a lot of stress in the market. When I say market, I'm talking the economy. And our society is not, it doesn't provide good support to people who are stressed. So this particular, counseling, it focuses on mental well-being. It's like, they ask us to, one of those things I have found, works for a lot of people is to involve oneself in doing household work. It actually helps. Household work है, घर की सफाई करना, छोटे छोटे काम होते हैं वो करना घर में, let's say some person, the spouse, it could be the man or the woman who cooks, the other partner basically could help in cooking, घर की साफ सफाई. These kinds of things help. We can involve children in this. Children get cranky sometimes. Children get cranky because staying home is a very difficult thing for kids. So involve them in painting, involve them in some arts, craft, or give them that responsibility that, look, okay, you pick a map, map, an atlas. I love map reading. If you take a map, okay, find this place, playing cards, Uno, all these things. Apart from the usual TV and all that, Shin-chan, Ninja, Chota Beam and all that stuff. So these kinds of things, this is where counseling is. It's about, finding a certain outlet for the pressure to go out. It's good to talk with people, always. It's always good to talk. So, which of the following cities have been given a 5-star rating for being garbage free. In fact, there are 6 cities. 4 are listed here. Ambikapur in Chhattisgarh, Indore in Madhya Pradesh, Mysuru in Karnataka, Surat and Rajkot in Gujarat, Navi Mumbai in Maharashtra. Okay. So about 6 cities have been given 5-star rating. There were higher ones, 7-star, no city got it. 65 cities were given 3-star rating. 65 cities, 3-star, and I think about 70 or 80 were given 1-star. So, which Indian economist has recently been appointed World Bank's practice manager for climate change, disaster risk management in South Asia? Abbas Jha. I tried to locate information about this, but there isn't much on this actually. I went to the website of the World Bank also. I found someone else, not this guy actually, I don't know why. Anyway, Raghuram Rajan is, I think, did I give you the names of the books he has written? No. If you have given one book, see, he studied at IIT Delhi. He was a gold medalist at IIT Delhi, gold medalist at IIM Ahmedabad. Then he went to MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, for his PhD. I think he taught at Harvard for some time, and then he went to Chicago University. That's where he teaches. He has been the youngest chief economist of the IMF, International Monetary Fund. He had been the RBI governor as well, governor of India's central bank. He had been a consultant to a lot of banks around the world. In fact, he was one of those guys who was stripped to become the governor of the Bank of England also. Okay, so plenty of books he's written. One I think I already mentioned, Fault Lines, F-A-U-L-T, Fault Lines. Okay, he's written Capitalism, another book, Capitalism. So Kaushik Basu is the ex-chief economist of the World Bank, ex-chief economist of the World Bank. Don't write about all this. Surjit Bhalla, you can write. Current Executive Director for India at the IMF. Executive Director for India at the IMF, International Monetary Fund. He also worked in the National Economic Advisory Council in the NDA government. Then Jayati Ghosh is an economist. She is deeply anti-BJP, anti-NDA. She comes from JNU. She did her PhD at Cambridge, and she taught at the JNU for a long time. So, which of the following nations have recently launched a new space defense unit to monitor and counter threats to its satellites? Japan. So, what has Japan launched, and why has it launched? I would want you to write just right. Japan has launched Space Domain Mission Unit. Space, S-P-A-C, Space Domain, D-O-M-A-I-N, Domain Mission, M-I-S-S-I-O-N, Mission Unit, U-N-I-T, Unit dash to defend the country's satellites from threats, T-H-R-E-A-T-S, threats in cyberspace, C-Y-B-E-R-S-P-A-C, cyberspace, and electromagnetic, E-L-E-C-T-R-O, electro-magnetic, M-A-G-N-E-T-I-C, magnetic interference, electromagnetic interference. Okay, electromagnetic interference, full stop. See, enemies can disable, destroy and interfere with the working of satellite. This is normal. I mean, if you watch movies, you would find this actually. Yeah, they can do this. So Japan has launched this space unit and they plan to work with the American Space Command, US Space Command. America launched this space command sometime last year. So they plan to work with the Americans for this. See, the Chinese have anti-satellite weapons. They can destroy satellites from Earth through a missile, through a rocket. Yeah, they demonstrated this technology a few years back. Russians have this technology, and Indians also have this technology. But more importantly, Japan's biggest enemy is China. Japan's biggest enemy is China. They are historical rivals, like India and Pakistan are. Japan and China are historical rivals. So we'll discuss this when I discuss the Korean crisis. Maybe I'll bring in Japan, China, everything together. Okay, guys? So Japan's, you want to write Japan? I think we already know the names of the leaders of all these countries, don't we? Yeah, we do. Just एक बार एक काम करते हैं, इनके लीडर के नाम ले लेते हैं. जापान डैश शिंजो एबी, शिंजो SHINZO, SHINZO, शिंजो एबी, ABE, एबी, शिंजो एबी. साउथ कोरिया मून वांग हे और मून जे इन, दिस इज बेटर. Moon, 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 JAE, JAE hyphen IN, Moon Jae-in. In this web talk, you will find that in this particular presentation, there is not a single map. I haven't included a single photograph, no photos, no maps in this particular. Yeah, we wanted it to be a plain talk. The Bank for International Settlements which launched the Green Bond Fund, has its headquarters at Basel, Switzerland. Basel, Switzerland. So I would want you to write this. BIS, underline that, first point. First point. Established 1930. Established 1930. Established 1930. Then head office, you write that place, Basel, Switzerland. You can call it Basel also. Basel, Switzerland, that's a head office. Next, chief dash Augustin, AGUSTIN, Augustin. Constance, CARSTENS, Constance, in brackets. Where is he from? Yeah. He's from Mexico. And one more thing you write. Promotes cooperation over monetary and financial issues, among its 62 members. So it's a central bank for central banks. 62 members, the central banks of 62 countries are its members. So they discuss issues concerning monetary and financial aspects. You want to know about one organization here, each of these places? Geneva, Switzerland, you can write many, plenty of them. Write WTO, World Trade Organization, Geneva, Switzerland, WTO, World Trade Organization. Then you have Washington DC, World Bank, World Bank, London, Amnesty International, next New York, United Nations Organization. Whom of the following is the ex-officio governor on the board of governors of the IMF? So who represents India? So India's ex-officio governor is the finance minister. Okay. Who is the current finance minister? Nirmala Sitharaman. Who is the current RBI governor? Shaktikanta Das. Who is the prime minister of India? Narendra Modi. Chief economic advisor Krishnamurthy Subramanian. Subramanian. Okay. He is the chief economic advisor to the government of India. Which of the following statements related to the Indian GDP are correct? Services sector is the largest contributor to GDP. Yes. Agriculture's contribution to GDP is highest after services sector. See, highest after services sector means second highest. Often we make a mistake of writing here is second highest after services. Second highest would be third. Got it? Okay. So highest after services means after services which is the highest? Agriculture in this case. 3. Share of industry sector occupies third position. No, I would give you some data. Please write. Shares in Indian GDP. Shares in Indian GDP. Or shares of 3 sectors in Indian GDP. Right. So we are going to discuss the shares in the first 6 months of last financial year. Uske baad there is no data. Okay? Yeah. So, right. April to September 2019. Shares of 3 sectors in Indian GDP dash April to September 2019. Okay. Underline that. First point. Agriculture 13.9. Number 2. Second one. Industry 28.3. And you will find that the total of agriculture with industry is about 42.2 if I am not wrong. Yeah. Services 57.8. Services has been increasing over the years. It's actually been increasing. So only one is right. It's a cause for concern because 44% of India's labor force of 52 crores. 44% of India's total labor force of 52 crores works in the agriculture and allied sectors. Horticulture, floriculture, plantation, everything. 44% of 52 crores works in primary sector. So 44% contributes 14%. Yeah. Next. Hey, the data that I shared with you comes to the economic survey, chapter 2. Okay. Economic survey, chapter 2. You could just look it up. Economic survey 2019-20. Economic survey is an assessment of the year that went by. Budget is an estimate of expenditures and revenues for the coming financial year. Okay, guys? So, As per the National Crime Records Bureau's latest Crime in India report, which topped in crimes against women, Uttar Pradesh, absolute number of crimes, yes, Uttar Pradesh. And you know what? This is because of the feudal attitude. To a large extent, I believe it's because of the feudal attitude against women. You know, that women's place is home, that women should not raise their voice, women should not do this, men should have their way with women. I don't know. I think to a large extent, these things could be, could be stopped, either with stringent law, implementation of the law. Law is already there, but stringent implementation is required. And more importantly, it is important to, to grill into our children, our boys, that women should be respected. Just like the mother, just like the sister at home, should be respected. The woman outside should also be respected, but that doesn't come. That unfortunately doesn't come in India. When I say the women at home, mother or sister, should be respected, because often we find that the girls at home are not respected. And if you think that I am incorrect, then I think you should go around and have a good look at. You try and not peep in, but keep your eyes and ears open. Yep. It's all symptomatic of things there are something rotten in the way we bring up our children. Okay, so Uttar Pradesh's Chief Minister is Yogi Adityanath. Punjab is Amrinder Singh. Amrinder Singh. And Uttar Pradesh, you could write one weird thing about not exactly weird, but very different thing about Uttar Pradesh. No, I'm not talking about crimes and everything. Uttar Pradesh most populous subnational province in the world. Most populous subnational province in the world. Subnational unit in the world. Among those which are not countries. Okay? These are most populous. See, as per census 2011, the population of Uttar Pradesh was 19.99 crore. Imagine, today it will be about 23 crores or something. 23 crores, so 22, 20, whatever the number is, 22, let's say 22 crores. 22 crores will make it more populous than Pakistan, than Brazil. Yes. So, yeah. Bihar, most densely populated state. Most densely populated state. 1102 persons per square kilometer. 1100, right? 1100 persons per square kilometers. So to get the density, you divide total population by total area. You get the density of population. Haryana, lowest sex ratio. Jharkhand high. Second lowest literacy rate. Now I remember. Second lowest literacy rate. Lowest is Bihar. Okay. Which of the following institutions has topped the list of QS India University rankings? Number one is Bombay. Number 2 is that IISc Bangalore. Number 2 is that IISc Bangalore. Okay. Number 3, IIT Delhi. You could write this. 1, IIT Bombay. 2, IISc Bangalore. IIT Delhi is number 3. Number 4, Madras. Number 4 is Madras. Number 5 is Kharagpur. IIT Kharagpur. So let me repeat. IIT Bombay, 1, India's best, IIT Bombay. Number 2, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. 3, IIT Delhi. 4, IIT Madras. 5, IIT Kharagpur. Who Who among the following persons is authored the book titled 10 Studies in Kashmir, History and Politics? This book captures 10 major, it picks 10 ideas and discusses this. Okay, the author is Kashinath Pandit. He is a Kashmiri Pandit basically. Okay, Harbans Mukhia is an ex-JNU guy. These guys, when I talk about Harbans Mukhia and thing, look, I have no particular opinion on all these things. I read everyone. Okay. मैं सब कुछ पढ़ता हूँ, सब कुछ. तो पढ़ना अच्छा है. You got ideas. You agree, disagree is a personal thing, but reading is important. Okay. So you write one. Harbans Mukhia, the Mughals of India. The Mughals of India. Is a medieval Indian historian. The Mughals of India. See, these guys, leftist historians from JNU school, they have always glorified the Mughals. Always glorified the Mughals. So whenever they, let's say, there is an instance of destruction of temple, they destroyed a temple, they would say it was, political in nature, not religious in nature. Whereas the court historians of those guys would tell you that it was religious in nature. Okay. So Harbans Mukhia one, Ramchandra Guha, again this guy is author of many books. You could write India after Gandhi, India after Gandhi, India after Gandhi. Dvijendra Narayan Jha is a hardcore Marxist, leftist, historian. He wrote this book called The Myth of the Holy Cow. Myth, M-Y-T-H. Myth of the Holy Cow. इनका कहना है कि the cow was never holy in the ancient Indian culture. A lot of people used to eat beef and all that. If you read this book, you will get to know all these things. I don't see. Honestly, I'm not a Hindu, so I have no personal. I didn't want to say that, but people may think that I have some agenda. No, I don't have any agenda. I'm telling you about these guys. ठीक है? ये देखिए choice 5. Palagummi Sainath, P. Sainath. Sainath is known to be an expert on poverty and income disparities. He is the author of this very famous book, which I bought some 34 years back, 33 years back. Everybody loves a good drought. Everybody loves, L-O-V-E-S, loves a good, G-O-O-D, good drought, D-R-O-U-G-H-T, D-R-O-U-G-H-T. Everybody loves a good drought. Everybody loves a good drought. ठीक है? So in this book, he talks about how village money lenders, how the bureaucracy, village bureaucracy, and everyone exploits the poor. Everyone exploits the poor. This is 97 May. I bought this book in 97. But then the guy is. Which of the following countries topped the 2019 Melbourne Mercer Global Pension Index? Netherlands. See, you write one line. Based, B-A-S-C-D, based on how countries or how nations fare, F-A-R-E, fare or rank, how nations rank on providing pension and retirement benefits to their citizens across income groups Okay. Now this, you could write next point. MMGPI, this index, ranked 37 countries. Ranked 37 countries. Ranked 37 countries. 37 countries. Below that, rank top 5 ranks. Top 5 ranks. 1. Netherlands. 2. Denmark. 3. Australia. 4. Finland. Finland. 5. Sweden. So 4 and 5 are mentioned there. Choices में. So 2, 3 है वो नहीं है. 2 is Denmark. 3 is Australia. India rank 32. 32. Last rank 37. Thailand. Okay. You want to write about any country here? Netherlands, you could write Prime Minister. Mark Rutte, M-A-R-K, Mark Rutte, R-U-T-T-E, Mark Rutte. There is an old story about how the name comes. True or not? Neither means under. Lands means Jameen, Bhumi. Netherlands, about 26% of the country's land is below sea level. So some say 17%, whatever the number. Think about it. Netherlands, underlands. There's an old story about it. Yeah. So the rest of the choices we would take in everywhere. Finland के प्राइम मिनिस्टर का नाम कभी हमने लिखा नहीं है. Finland प्राइम मिनिस्टर, you could write Finland प्राइम मिनिस्टर. Sanna Marin, Sanna, S-A-N-A-A, Sanna Marin, M-A-R-I-N, Sanna Marin. Who heads the committee to set up by IRDI to evaluate applications filed under the regulatory sandbox approach to promote innovative ideas to foster growth in the insurance sector? बहुत बड़ा समय. You just write regulatory sandbox dash refers to live testing, L-I-V-E, live testing, T-E-S-T-I-N-G, live testing of new products, live testing of new products or services in a controlled regulatory environment. कुछ नए प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, टेस्ट करना मार्केट में, so they set up some conditions, they have to fulfill those conditions and then introduce that. So it's like, clinical trials. So the committee is under Sadagopan, and who are these guys here? Anurag Thakur, Minister of State. You could write this. Minister of State for Finance. Minister of State for Finance and Corporate Affairs. Minister of State for Finance and Corporate Affairs. Subhash Chandra Khuntia, Chairman of IRDAI. Choice 4. N.K. Singh, Nand Kishore Singh dash Chairman of 15th Finance Commission. 15th Finance Commission. 15th Finance Commission. Last one. Upendra Kumar Sinha. Upendra Kumar Sinha. Upendra Kumar Sinha. Upendra Kumar Sinha dash former chairman of SEBI. Former chairman of SEBI. Dash autobiography. Autobiography released in March 2020. Released in March 2020. Dash title is without grammar लिख रहे हैं हम. Okay, I mean easy to understand. Title is, right, in single inverted commas, capital letters, going public. Going public. Going public. Going public means coming out with everything. Okay, open. I mean being honest. It also is a pun on he worked in SEBI. He worked as chairman of SEBI. So the company first share public, when the company comes up with a share issue, it's called set to going public. That's what it is. Okay, it's opening up. Which of the following institutions have recently released the economic outlook for Southeast Asia, China and India 2020? Its biennial publication on regional economic growth. OECD. You could write this. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Underline that. उसके नीचे लिखिए. Established 1961. Established 1961. Second point. 37 members. Yeah, right. 37 members. 37 members. Next. Chief is Jose. I'll spell it. Jose. Jose. That is Jose. J की जगह H pronounce होता है. Jose Angel. 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 Jose Angel Guria. GURRIA. Guria. Jose Angel Guria. In brackets, Mexico. 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 Okay. Next point. To become a member, comma, a country must fulfill two conditions. Dash. 1. Be a democracy. And two, have a free market or capitalist economy. Have a free market or capitalist economy. Capitalist economy. Capitalist economy. Last point. Promotes. What does it do? Promotes economic growth and trade. Promotes economic growth and trade between members. बाकियों के बारे में तो हम काफी कुछ लिख चुके हैं. WIPO लिखते हैं. WIPO. प्लीज राइट. WIPO. WIPO. WPO. World Intellectual Property Organization. World Intellectual Property Organization. Underline that, first one. Established 1967. Established 1967. 1967. Next point. Head office Geneva. Geneva. Head office Geneva. Next, chief Francis Gurry. Francis, Francis. Francis Gurry, Gurry. In brackets, Australia. Francis Gurry, Australia. And last point, I have 2 points, right? UN Specialized Agency, UN, United Nations, Specialized Agency, and last point, to protect and promote intellectual property rights, IPR or IP. Okay. Which of the following nations' model of human milk bank has been adopted by India? This is a very good question. So, see, in India, what is the goal? You write this goal. Goal of current government policy. Of having human milk banks, dash, to give access to breast milk to at least 70% of infants by 2025. I know, wonder ye kya cheez hai? For years I have been reading about this, but I can tell you a few things here, not everything of course. See, we take it for granted that when a baby is born, the baby is fed, mother will be fed first by the mother, isn't it? Yeah. But it's not always the case. Now why? Because sometimes the baby could be premature. The baby could be born before the term ends. Okay, before what is called the due date kind of thing. The term ends. Sometimes the baby is born premature, in which case the baby will be taken to an intensive care unit where the baby will be away from the mother. So the mother cannot feed the baby. Okay. 2. Sometimes the mother develops certain complications due to which the baby will have to be kept away from the mother. See, baby means it could be a baby boy or a baby girl. So baby means newborn child. Okay. So often it happens that they are separate, in which case the baby will have to go without breast milk, without mother's milk, which is very, very, very unfortunate for the baby, because breast milk contains a lot of nutrients that help a child build immunity. It leads to faster growth of faster growth of the body, and it has a lot of immunity boosters. But unfortunately, it so happens that this could be the fate of the baby, where the baby has no access. So there is one, what happens in milk banks is that the baby, by the way, you should know that the first milk to the baby, fed to the baby is called colostrum. colostrum, colostrum. Okay, that's the first milk fed to the baby from the mother. Okay. Now, I'm fascinated with all these things. The way we humans have worked wonderfully well in certain difficult situations. So it is very important for us to learn these things. Okay, how a human milk bank can help. So in this case, a human milk bank can help a baby who is away from the mother and is devoid of mother's milk. Typically, when a woman can express means produce breast milk. It's called expressing. That's the word. Okay, a woman can express anywhere between 50 ml to 300 ml of milk. Okay, so if the mother finds that her baby has had a fill, she can produce that excess milk. She can give it to a milk bank. And milk banks, actually what they do is they get about 1200 to 1500 liters every year. I am not sure if they have the number actually, but they get a lot of milk through donors actually. Okay, like human milk like this. So क्या करते हैं, उसको pasteurize करते हैं first, okay, then उसको test करते हैं, and then it's stored in freezers and then fed to babies who need it. Look at that entire idea. The chain is so wonderful. Yeah, but in India we have major complications. See, in India there is this belief that if a mother after expressing her milk gives it to someone, then she won't produce enough. No, medical science says that a woman can produce as much as she wants. That is, if she wants to express more, she'll produce more if she has a nutritious diet. Okay, so it's actually a very punya ka kaam, as they say in Hindi. Yeah, they say it's a very sacred thing to do, to help those little fellows who need such milk. Okay, but then there are so many complications in our system, but then hopefully we do this across the country. And you should know that Brazil is a world leader in this. Brazil is a world leader. Then we have in India also, about 35 or 40 years back, when the first human milk bank was created somewhere in Chennai, if I'm not wrong. People have been pioneers. People do a lot of good, my friends. People do a lot of good. Shall we write the capitals of these places? Argentina, Buenos Aires, B-U-E-N-O-S. B-U-E-N-O-S. Buenos Aires, A-I-R-E-S. A-I-R-E-S. Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires. You want some extra stuff about this? ठीक है, काम करते हैं. Buenos Aires dash Alberto Fernandez, president's name. Alberto Fernandez, F-E-R-N-A-N-D-E-S. Fernandez dash Piso, P-E-S-O, Piso. A Diwala Desha. This is a bankrupt country. Canada, Ottawa, O-T-T, I repeat, O-T-T-A-W-A, O-T-T-A-W-A, Ottawa dash Justin Trudeau, Justin, J-U-S-T-I-N, Justin Trudeau, T-R-U-D-E, sorry, T-R-U-D-E-A-U, Trudeau. Okay, then Mexico. What's that? Capital is Mexico City. It's simple to remember actually. Mexico City. So, president's name is Manuel, M-A-N-U-E-L, Manuel Obrador. OBRADAR. OBRADOR. Operator. Manual operator. Currency is peso. Currency is peso. Okay, currency is peso. ये सभी स्पेनिश है तो वही होगा, पीसो ही होगा इनका. तो क्यूबा लास्ट में. क्यूबा. ब्राज़ील बहुत बार लिख चुके हैं हम. वी हैव रिटन ब्राज़ील मल्टीपल टाइम्स. क्यूबा डैश कैपिटल इज हवाना. HAVANA. HAVANA. Okay. President is Miguel. MIGUEL. Miguel Canel. CANEL. Canel hyphen Diaz. DIAZ. Miguel Canel Diaz. I repeat. MIGUEL. Miguel Canel. CANEL. Canel hyphen Diaz. DIAZ. Till I would tell you, I wouldn't even know that I know this stuff actually. Cuba, then what's the currency? Peso. 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 Chaliye. Which of the following countries participated in the second edition of this? This happened last year. So India and Japan. India and Japan. India and Japan. Maybe I'll recapture all these exercises sometime on Monday, next Monday. ठीक है? चलते हैं अभी. United Bank of India has been merged with Punjab National Bank. Punjab National Bank. तो एक बार mergers recapture करते हैं हम. ठीक है? United Bank of India has been merged with Punjab National Bank. Next, Indian Bank. Indian Bank dash Allahabad Bank. Allahabad Bank. Allahabad Bank. Bank of Baroda. Vijaya Bank. VIJAYA. Vijaya Bank. And Dena Bank. DENA. Dena Bank. Vijaya Bank and Dena Bank. Canara Bank. The only one bank. Syndicate Bank. Syndicate Bank. Syndicate Bank. Canara Bank. Syndicate Bank. पंजाब नेशनल बैंक में दो है, ये दो मर्ज हुए हैं. एक तो यूनाइटेड बैंक ऑफ इंडिया जो क्वेश्चन में है, and the second one is Oriental Bank of Commerce. Oriental Bank of Commerce. Oriental Bank of Commerce. Now, there is one more bank which is not mentioned here. Please write Union Bank of India. Union Bank of India. Union Bank of India. Dash. कौन से बैंक्स मौजूद है इसमें? Corporation Bank. Corporation Bank and Andhra Bank. Corporation Bank and Andhra Bank. And Andhra Bank. And Andhra Bank. Got it? Indian Bank is Allahabad Bank. Punjab National Bank, OBC and UBI. ठीक है? Bank of Baroda, Dena और Vijaya. Yeah. Canara Bank. What is that bank? Yeah. Canara Bank is Syndicate Bank. I almost forgot it. So the last one, Andhra Bank and Corporation Bank merged with Union Bank of India. Anything else? With which bank has the government e-marketplace recently signed an MOU for memorandum of understanding for payment related services? Indian Bank and Canara Bank. This is an old question, so you know this heads of these banks. I think we've been discussing this for quite some time, haven't we? IndusInd Bank, Sumant Katpalia. IndusInd Bank, Sumant Katpalia. KATHPALIA. Sumant Katpalia. Sumant Katpalia. Bank of Baroda, Sanjeev Chadda. Sanjeev Chadda. Enough here. Too many things are coming. ठीक है, नहीं तो I feel guilty. Let me complete 2 more banks. Canara Bank, T Manoharan, Indian Bank, Padmaja Chunduru, 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 Padmaja Chunduru. Which Indian city has recently been listed as a member of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network in the field of gastronomy? Hyderabad, my city, Hyderabad. Kolkata, no, nothing. Ahmedabad, nothing. Allahabad, it's not Allahabad, it should be Prayagraj. I think we should get it corrected. But otherwise, I can tell you what other cities. You could just write UNESCO, title this, UNESCO Creative Cities Network. ठीक है? ये लिखने के बाद, you write this. Gastronomy, Hyderabad. Then films, Mumbai. Next, music, Varanasi and what is that? Varanasi and Chennai. एक और है आर्ट्स एंड क्राफ्ट्स और क्राफ्ट्स जयपुर JAIPUR जयपुर. चलिए, whom of the following persons have been selected for the Italian Gold Sand Award? Always Sudarshan Patnaik is world class. Often he comes up with he does this on I think the beach of the sand beaches of Bhubaneswar, if I'm not wrong. Yes. Which country will become the first to ban advertising of high sugar drinks to combat rising diabetes? Singapore. See, if you like cold drinks and everything, I'll tell you something why they are bad for health. Let's say this is not 300 ml. Okay, let's say 330 ml का एक कैन आता है, okay, 330 ml. उस 330 ml कोक या पेप्सी या जो भी है, उसमें you know how much sugar is there? 40 grams of sugar. Pepsi has 41, Coke has 39.7. Take 40 average. 40. You know how much is 40? Take sugar cubes. शुगर क्यूब होते हैं, एक 4 ग्राम का होता है जनरली. You drop 40 into a glass of Coke, that is a sugar that you drink. It's extremely dangerous. Sugar erodes, enamel of the teeth and they erode the bones. Calcium पूरा घिस जाता है और bones become very very weak, and they are especially dangerous for women. Because as age with them, because they do a lot more physical work than men, it becomes that much tougher for women to move around, especially during pregnancy and everything, because of this sugar thing. It's extremely dangerous. Sugar is generally dangerous. Sugar leads to hyperactivity. You look at little fellows, when they eat chocolates and everything, generally hyperactive होते हैं. क्यों? कि chocolates वगैरह ज़्यादा खाते हैं, sugar ज़्यादा होती है उसमें. Very dangerous. And you know what? Diabetes की बात कर रहे हैं. India is the diabetes capital of the world. India has the maximum number of diabetic patients in the world. We are a very sweet country. Unfortunately, that's how it is. Okay. So try to avoid all these things. I know I shouldn't be telling you, but then it's a personal choice you will make. Which state government was honored with the World Habitat Award for Jaga Mission, which is an ambitious project to provide homes to millions of people across the state? Odisha has come up with this plan. The chief minister there is Naveen Patnaik. He has been there, I think this is his 4th term, if I'm not wrong. Naveen Patnaik. It's one of India's poorest states, but of late it's been going the other way, that is the pro-development way, which is good for its people. Always good. It's home to one area called KBK, Koraput Bolangir Kalahandi, KBK, Koraput Bolangir Kalahandi. This is an area which is about 7 districts or so, one of the poorest areas in the world, but things are changing. Okay. Who of the following won the Nobel Prize in Literature for 2018 and 19? Because last year in 2018 it was not given. It was not given because the person who headed the committee, her husband, if I'm not wrong, was accused of rape or something. So there were some allegations and everything. So I think they suspended that year. And last year they gave it to 2 persons. So for 18 and 19. You could write this. Olga, Poland. Olga, Poland. I'll give you the names of 2 books. I have one of them. Flights. One is Flights. 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 And Bones of the Dead. Second one is Bones of the Dead. Bones of the Dead. D-E-A-D. Next, लिखिए Peter Handke. Second name there, Peter Handke. Austria. A-U-S-T-R-I-A. Austria. Underline that. 1. Wings of Desire. Wings. W-I-N-G-S. Wings of Desire. D-E-S-I-R-E. Wings of Desire. And the second book is a title that has fascinated me, and I'm sure I'm going to buy this book. Sure. I learned about him recently only. In fact, for this paper only. Okay. But this guy, Olga, I have known her for some time. Second book, which I'm fascinated. I found the title very beautiful. A Sorrow Beyond Dreams. A Sorrow. Sorrow. S-O-R-R-O-W. A Sorrow Beyond Dreams. Amazing title, na? Sorrow Beyond Dreams. अभी English, Hindi में तो नहीं कह सकता मैं, but yeah, it's beautiful. Salman Rushdie, pretty controversial chap. I have all of his books. You could write one of his books. Latest you must be familiar with. Quixote. Q-U-I-C-H-O-T-T-E. Q-U-I-C-H-O-T-T-E. It's written Quixote, but pronounced Quixote. Okay, it's a story set in the modern take on the old Don Quixote thing. If you're not familiar, don't worry. Stephen King is a horror stuff writer. बहुत इनकी पूरी हॉरर स्टोरीज होती हैं इनकी किताबें. जेफरी आर्चर, टेरिफिक ट्विस्ट इन द टेल. टेरिफिक ट्विस्ट, एकदम टेरिफिक होती है इनकी किताब. लास्ट लाइन में चेंज हो जाती हैं इनकी शॉर्ट स्टोरीज. इफ यू वांट टू रीड वन, टू कट ए लॉन्ग स्टोरी शॉर्ट. टू कट ए लॉन्ग स्टोरी शॉर्ट. टेरिफिक स्टोरीज होती हैं. लास्ट लाइन में कहानी मुड़ती है, ऐसे यू टर्न लेती है. So I think we will not go further on this. Okay. That was it. Fair then, guys. We have taken, we spent quite a great deal of time. In fact, we spent close to 140 minutes. Thanks for being here. And this Saturday, let's see what we can discuss. And the next week I'll bring to you more stuff. Thanks for being here. Stay curious. Have a lot of fun. Please share your feedback. Thank you.